Well, hello, this is Jeff Gaudiosi, and you're on misplacedstraws.com where music comes to life. And my guest today has been here before. You probably know him best from his time in one of my favorite New York City bands, The Sweet Things. But he's here today with a new project, just a mind blowing psychedelic trip to an apocalyptic universe called Plastic Manmade Sunshine Machine. Here to explain it all, my friend Dave Tierney. Welcome back, Dave.
Oh, thanks, Jeff. It's good to be back. Thanks so much. I'll do my best to explain it. I'm not even sure I can, but we'll
Someone
we'll
has
try.
to.
Someone has to try at least.
But before we get to the actual record, who
Yeah,
joins you in the band? Who plays on it with you?
sure. Yeah, no, we've got a great band of New York City veterans. All people I've known a long time. So Hitomi Nakamura is on drums. She's I don't know, maybe one of the best drummers in New York City. Guy Fumarelli on guitar. He played with Fiona Silver a long time. That's where I met him. And then Megan Rose on bass, who plays with a number of projects around town. Probably her top band these days, or for the last few years, has been Monty.
Mhm.
And then we had a couple extra people join us in the studio who aren't regular members of the band. We had Kim Lewis join us on flute for a great little cameo, and then Beck Louder came to help us with some of the backup vocals just to make the sound a little bigger.
And now, some of these songs you actually played live, I mean, as early as 2024.
Yeah.
What's kind of the origin of this band? How did you all come together?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, the origin is I actually had the idea for this band a long time ago, and I wrote the lyrics I wrote the lyrics forever ago when I was in this band, the Sharp Lads, that I was in before the Sweet Things, and I wrote the whole thing as like a 10 song concept. It emerged out of an inside joke between me and my friend John Goldthwait from the band Hussy,
Mhm.
who's a Southern New Hampshire band, although I think now they're bi-coastal.
Yeah.
Great band, by the way, Hussy. They just put out some new stuff, so look them up. But he and I were just kind of joking around about a psychedelic concept, and I ended up writing a whole set of lyrics out of it. And I'd been sitting on it forever. And then after the Sweet Things broke up, I was writing a lot and trying to figure out what to do next. And I ended up picking up this old notebook and just writing music to all the songs. I was going to make it just a recording project at first, and then I decided it'd be fun to play it live. So I started reaching out to local musicians and put the band together.
So on to the record. Now, let's
Yeah.
start with this story and the concept. I mean, it's really is this symphony on the end of the world. Kind of give a little bit of a synopsis from the story and just where did it come from?
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, it originally came from an inside joke. John came up with the band name actually, and but he was we were joking around. He was like said something about his old psychedelic band, and he named it, but he didn't have an old psychedelic band. That was the joke. And then I kind of emailed him later and said, "Oh, I found your old record," and I had put the track listing together. And so we just kind of joked around with that for a while. And then, like I said, I ended up I used to write. I had like a dedicated writing night every Thursday, and I would go to Bar Matchless in Greenpoint, Brooklyn, and I would sit at the bar with my notebook and I would drink beers and I would write until I was like too buzzed to be writing anything decent. And that was kind of my process for a long time. And like I said, I was in the band The Sharp Lads, and I didn't feel like writing Sharp Lads lyrics this one night. I was just not in that headspace. And so I was like, you know what? I'm gonna write this because this has been like amusing me lately. And I wrote that over like 2 or 3 nights. I wrote the whole record. So that's where it comes from. It's definitely, like I said, a concept. It's meant to be listened to in order. We played the record live in order when we performed. And there's a storyline, right? It takes you through a day or maybe like a history of a universe, all kind of like condensed into 45 minutes.
Now, but on to the music, because
Yeah.
at the end of the day, nothing matters if you don't have a great song, and you got some great songs.
Well, thanks.
I guess the biggest compliment I could give this record is that it doesn't sound like anything else. I mean, there's some Jefferson Airplane, there's a little bit of the Stooges, maybe even a
Yeah.
little of the Moody Blues or the Beach Boys kind of thrown in the music, but it's totally unique. I mean, what were you listening to and envisioning when you attacked the music?
Oh, that's funny. I never thought about the Moody Blues thing, but my parents played so many Moody Blues records when I was growing up, so apparently that seeped in, and now
Well,
it's
honestly, that
infected
was
me
the
to the core.
first thing I thought of because, like, with Days of Future Past, it's like the morning into
Oh,
the afternoon, and
yeah.
I pick up a little with the flute and all of that too. I'm like,
Yeah,
okay,
no, you're right.
yeah,
Yeah, you know what? I didn't think about that. My parents listen to Days of Future Past all the time, and there's
yeah,
that little opening with that spoken word
yeah,
section, right? And then it goes into Ride My Seesaw.
yeah.
Yeah, that's actually, you know what? I didn't think about that at all, but and I was joking when I said that I was infected by it, but no, I think that that's in there. So that's cool. Yeah, originally the the jumping off point for me was like Sid Barrett, Piper at the Gates of Dawn. And that was like kind of the first thing I thought of when I was trying to write it. And I wrote the song Tripping Down a Hole first. And so that was kind of the most consciously trying, not even to be like Sid Barrett, but to be similar in a way to like 1968 British psychedelia. Like I'm really into a lot of those 1968 era British bands. So like not just Floyd, but like
Yeah.
also like the Soft Machine
Mhm.
and Kevin Ayers solo work after that. And then just I really love actually the Pretty Things, and
Mhm.
they did,
Yep.
SF Sorrow, and then their next record after that. And the Pretty Things also was where I got the idea to name the Sweet Things. I said we need a name like
Yeah.
that, and that was the closest thing I could think of. Um, but yeah, and so like I was trying to at first make it kind of like a 68 British psychedelic thing, but then from there it just like moved, and it's just a million different influences seeped in, and like I said, even things that I wasn't aware of probably until right now.
Well, and I've always loved watching your career, how you sort of change and evolve. Like the Sweet Things had two records. They were completely different from each other, but both were great. Then you get something like this that isn't like either of those two things, but again, it's great. As a writer, you mentioned your writing nights. Does the change in your writing sort of come gradually, or on those nights do you sit and say, okay, this is kind of what I want to write tonight? Do you
Yeah,
choose
no,
what you're going to do?
no, I love that question. I mean, like I have like a million ideas, and I always have, and I'll never have enough time to do all the ideas that I have. So I have a lot of ideas that are just like conceptual, and or I have a lot of things that are just sitting in notebooks written out. Um, or I have plenty of songs that are fully written that I've just never done anything with. So I have lots of different ideas. Like I was saying, back in the Sharp Lads, there was like an idea of like there's a certain thing that is a Sharp Lad song.
Yeah,
I think that's almost like I actually don't really love that idea
yeah,
anymore. That was a long time ago, but like, whatever. We were a certain kind of band. We were like a high energy rock and roll punk band. And so like there was a certain kind of song we couldn't really bring. So like, starting the Sweet Things, for instance, right after that, we had a whole different thing, right? We were just like a rock and roll band, and we kind of embraced that. We thought of ourselves as like, like someone once said, the New York Dolls playing Exile on Main Street, and
mhm,
that's kind of how we thought of ourselves, with a little bit maybe of the Replacements mixed in.
mm,
And we experimented at times in that band with like different sounds.
yeah.
I don't know if it's always embraced, so people come to like expect a certain thing from each band, so it's almost easier just to start a new project, and you can do anything you want.
Now, kind of with that in mind, where do you see the progression of Plastic Man-Made Sunshine Machine? Does it exist beyond this story and this record?
Yeah, it exists, and I'm hoping to do more with it. I have like I'm writing the follow-up album, and most of the lyrics are done for the next record. So there is another album. But I'm also writing a few kind of standalone singles,
Mhm.
and I think I'll most likely tackle those first. So one thing that occurred to me is like the show ends, and we've had some cool shows, but the band doesn't have anything that could be an encore.
Yeah.
And I do love encores in music, but I mean, I hate fake encores, which is what most of them are.
Mhm.
But I love like a real, genuine encore when the crowd just can't get
Yeah.
enough. Like I remember back in college, I was playing in a band, and we were playing this party, and so our show would end, and it was late, and then we'd get off the stage. It wasn't even a stage, but and go kind of mix into the party, and people wouldn't let us go back to the party because I kept wanting one more song. And that went on for like four songs that stretched over like
Yeah.
40 minutes. Like that's like a real encore. Um, so anyway, the next thing I'm writing is hopefully something that would be, in a sense, designed to be a good encore song after the album.
Mm. Now, you talked about playing live and mentioned how you've played the record. You have any shows coming up? Will you be, playing either New York, the Northeast, anywhere else throughout 26?
I mean, there's nothing planned right now, but yeah, we're planning on playing live again this spring. So hopefully, spring, summer, fall, we'll be back. Yeah, haven't played since 2025. A little bit of a break, but at the same time, trying to get a little bit of writing done. So we can come back and maybe if we do get encored at our next show, we'll have something to play.
And now, when you guys do play, do you sort of stick to this record? Do you kind of bring in either covers or stuff from other projects that you've all been in, or do you keep it to Plastic Man-Made Sunshine Machine?
We keep it to the album, but we don't play it quite like as rigid as it's recorded, and we do build in a lot of space for improvisation. So, for instance, we do open every show with improvisation, and then the album emerges out of that.
Yeah.
And then, some of the songs are pretty straightforward verse, chorus, bridge, verse, chorus songs. Those tend to stay the same, but then there's, a few songs, like for instance, the opening of what would be side B, if we press this on vinyl, the Plastic Man-Made Sunshine Machine Suite. That song is different every time, and it's got kind of some riffs and some lyrics and sections that it's based on, but the live version of that is pretty exploratory. And even actually the studio version is as well. I think we just captured a really cool exploratory version of that made it on the record.
And now, we've mentioned some of your other projects, the Sweet Things, and I've had you guys on here before. I loved you and Sam Harris in that band. Now, you've each kind of moved on to different projects, but do you ever see at least another live performance, if not another record from the Sweet Things?
Oh, I mean, yeah, I certainly wouldn't rule it out. I mean, we're still all really good friends, and we still all talk all the time. So, yeah, there'd be nothing stopping that if everybody was lined up. I mean, right now, everybody's just in such different places, either in life or creatively or both, that I wouldn't, expect it to happen in 2026. But yeah, that certainly could happen somewhere down the road.
And any other projects or music you're working on outside of this band?
I don't know, is there? I don't think so. I mean, I'm always like, I've been playing drums for How Tragic for the last couple of years, so that's been pretty fun. My friend Paige Campbell, who's a really great songwriter, at some point a couple of years ago, was having trouble getting a full-time drummer, and it was right as I all of a sudden had a lot of time in my schedule, and I ran into her at a show, and I was like, I could drum for you. And just coincidentally, she was the other two guys in the band were two of the guys I played with in the Sharp Labs before the Sweet Thing. So we've been playing together. So I think we'll probably have more shows coming up. And then, yeah, other than that, I'm still always writing and thinking of other ideas. So who knows? Something else could pop up.
Can't wait. Well,
Yeah.
we've been spending some time here with Dave Tierney. The album and the band are called Plastic Man-Made Sunshine Machine. It really is a great listen. I think whatever type of rock you like, you will find it in this record. It's diverse, but yet comes together as a cohesive record. I highly recommend it, and it's out everywhere now. You could stream it everywhere. And Dave, thanks so much for taking some time to talk about it.
Hells yeah. Thanks so much for having me, Jeff. It's been great.
You got it. We'll talk soon.
All right.